Okay, it's 5:02 p.m. where I find myself in France, empirically, and I intend to make a relatively short video in which I present what I call fragments of the mind of God, namely YouTube channels, authors, scientists, writers, which represent what I call figures of consciousness, namely individuals who contain within their mind, when they speak publicly, knowledge about the structure of the universe, the cosmos, in its natural aspect, the hard sciences, and in its social and in a broader sense anthropological and social aspect, namely anthropology, psychology, economics, sociology, politics, geopolitics, history, and in its artistic and scientific aspect, in a sense of art, religion, and philosophy, the spiritual aspect. And these are names of channels that I have subscribed to. I do not follow these channels regularly because I do not have enough time as an individual in my daily life, but I recommend others, if they are interested, to follow these channels. And here I will introduce some books. And just to clarify, God is the totality of being. And I know myself to be the observer of reality. I am confronted by a substance, an objective world, in which there is the natural world, the world of time and space, matter, movement, energy, the laws of physics, etc., and individuals, other human beings, and each human being, as a thinking human, is a receptacle of a piece of the consciousness of the cosmos. That's ordinary vocabulary, that's metaphorical, but it expresses that each individual carries knowledge about the universe, which is God. And when all the pieces, the individual pieces, are interconnected, this is the process of God as a totality reconstructing his mind, in a way. I am all alone as an individual in my mind, and each individual outside of myself is alone in his own mind, but the ideas which flow through my mind, the spirit, in a sense, is inspired, precisely. The inspire comes from spirit, they are the same root. Each individual has a place within the totality depending on his own level of consciousness, awareness, knowledge, etc., etc. And what I intend to do, as long as I can, so here, example, as long as I can speak publicly in English, to promote individuals on each of the layers of being. And here I will promote some books about the educational system. The first moment, the theoretical aspect, is to understand the determinations of reality, the objective world, how things are in the realm of the social institutions. And here, the case of the educational system in the United States of America, there is a problem with the educational system. This is made manifest through books being published, The School Revolution by Ron Paul, John Taylor Gatto, but it's a singular country, a particular topic, the educational system, of a universal civilization. In the case of Western civilization, it doesn't mean that the whole world is Western, but it means that if we take Western civilization as the universal, a particular problem is the educational system, and singular occurrences are books denouncing the problems in the US. But there are also the same kind of books in French by conservative socialists, in a way, teaching of ignorance and the fabric, I don't know how to call this. Yeah, fabric means to make, the creation, not the creation, the industry which produces idiots. That's pidgin English. I am regressing, but yeah. And I'm sure that they are the same in Canada, Scotland, Ireland, Germany, probably Italy, Australia, most, if not all Western countries suffer from the same problem. So the first step is to a theoretical aspect to understand the determinations of reality, here in the case of the social structure, the educational system, to understand. But once it is understood, the causes and the relation with all the other social phenomena, which are tied with anthropology, in the continuity of nature, etc., solutions can be brought forth and proposed. And what I propose in order to fix the problems as long as I can is, I made 2 playlists, one about speculative logic, which is which are lectures on the categories, which are the building blocks of the mind of God, with whom I identify when I think correctly. And studying the category is very important because it can be problematic, but it can help a great deal because it simplifies a lot, and a lot of debates and a waste of time can be avoided if one thinks properly about certain topics. I encourage people to watch eventually these videos. And second, I made a second playlist about what I call the system, the presentation of the system, which is more rigorous. It shows a picture, a view of the totality, the central intelligence agency, or the process of God. It changes because it's constantly in a process of becoming, so it's not rigidly fixed precisely, it's a process, but it shows the view of the totality for those who have the time and the intellectual requirements to follow. Yeah. And now, so this is my personal contribution as of now, the view of the totality and the building blocks of the mind, namely the category, so the encyclopedic view and the view of the presentation of the categories, which can be applied to all topics of knowledge. And then my second contribution is to share my links so that others might see what I talk about when I talk about God and as being God, as being reality. So here are first you can see the names, but first I conclude with my books. The reason why people do not follow my channel or my channels and my videos is because they do not understand what I talk about, or because they do not have enough time. And I must admit that I'm partly frustrated by the lack of quantitative success. So what I've decided to do, what I've understood, is that I have to reduce the working hours. And what do I do to contribute to this goal? Is to promote these books which denounce the parasitical aspect of the bureaucracy in most developed socialized system of organization, from an anarcho-communist perspective, David Graeber, and a libertarian perspective, Mises. What do I do to get rid of the problem on an individual level? I had a bullshit job. I was an accountant for a few months. I quit my job and I did something more productive. As of now, become a YouTube content creator. It's still partly bureaucratic, but yeah. And I work as long as I can every day. It implies thinking and meditating and taking little breaks sometimes, but I work as hard as I can in my new job. And I simplify my life to dedicate as much time as possible to what I consider productive work, at least in my good moments. So this is my contribution. And I show the useless things within reality so that people might detach themselves from these. For instance, I reduce my consumption, I clean my room, which enables me to gain an enormous amount of time. I simplify my diet, I simplify my dress code, my clothes. I do not go to the hairdresser any longer. I cut my hair myself. It simplifies. It enables to spare money, to gain time. I try to rationally organize my daily routine to free as much time as possible, as long as I can. And another problem, the welfare state. What do I do to counter the welfare state, which is problematic because It encourages bureaucratic parasitism. It brings forth social ills like unemployment, dependency, single motherhood, crimes, addictions. This is not the fault neither of the bureaucrats nor of the victims of the welfare state. Precisely, it's a systemic problem, and the solution is taxation, to refuse to participate. I will talk about this later, probably in the coming days. Probably we'll see that eventually. Yeah, but as of now, I try to show the view of the totality, and another way of trying to solve the problem is to show what people could do if they had more leisure, more free time. And also what I do is to try to daily to take care of my pantry, to buy food, but also to share with others. That's my motto. Every time I buy food in a supermarket or in a market, I share with others in terms of food stamps, which is a way of solving the problem of currency, the banking system on an individual level with a very small influence. But I retrieve money from the bank and I transform this into provision and food supplies. The problem of beggars: when I encounter a beggar, I give him food stamps and something to do for 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours or more, depending on the context. So it can help on an individual level to solve the problem of beggars. And yeah, and the rest of the day I work. I produce videos like this one, which is not very, it doesn't require a lot of work, but I list important people on all the topics in a rather structured way. So let us begin with mathematics. People who are interested in mathematics, these two channels are, can I zoom in? Okay, no, okay. These two channels, so mathematics is the first moment in the logic of quantity, so it's ordered encyclopedically. People who want to know about very intelligent people talking about mathematics in English, he's an Asian guy and she's, I don't know, but she's quite good looking and very, very smart. She really is, it's autistic intelligence. She's very, very smart. So here are good YouTube channels about mathematics, about the cosmos, the latest discoveries of sciences. So here is a way to replace the educational system, like promoted by Ron Paul. There is free education made available in real time for anyone who speaks English or with an internet connection, in real time. The latest advances and discoveries of science, the structure of the universe in which we live, the one cosmos. It is us that we study, ourselves through the mediation of scientists, and we learn about ourselves because the cosmos lives through us. It becomes conscious of itself through us. We are a cosmic totality thinking itself. This is one of the formal definitions of God. Yeah, so here are scientists who have made rather popular lectures and conferences on YouTube. Carl Sagan, it was officially in the 1980s about the cosmos. Here are modern English cosmologists or physicists who intervene. Sometimes they make conferences and lectures or their books. So these one, they produced books, but they can also be found on YouTube. They make conferences. Etienne Klein is a French physicist, and here it's an illustration that the latest advances of science, they are universal, because science is an activity of thought. It is by very nature universal. So whether the scientists come from the US, England, France, they may have different levels, their singular particularity in terms of the way they express themselves, their style, their peculiar type of way of doing science in each country, but if it is really science, they all should agree on the fundamental determinations. Then there are debates within physicists, and then within biologists, within economists, etc. It goes more and more complicated, but they agree usually on the universal determination. So the structure of the universe, which is the body of God, is made intelligible and accessible to everyone with an internet connection, and the leisure, the interest, the time and or the money to invest the money. It means the material condition. Here is another YouTube channel. The Theory of Everything by a Canadian person of Indian origin. Here in green, these are German channels, so it's universal. It's the US, England, Canada, Germany, France. Here's a French channel on YouTube. Here, these are the sciences. So we had cosmology or astronomy or the latest advances of physics. The sciences, there is My Lab, who is a German person of citizenship of apparently Asian origin, another German. So these are sciences in general. There is a chemistry, an overall scientific and partly philosophical inquiries. Geology, there is the channel by the BBC. Biology, we have Mr. Dawkins, who publishes good books and who makes conferences available on the internet. Sociobiology, these are Carleton Coon died officially many decades ago, but these are not videos on YouTube, but these are people that can be checked for their references on Wikipedia or their books, etc., just to get to know the latest discoveries of sociobiology. John Randall Baker, same thing. He was a sociobiologist who wrote books about race. Galton, a 19th century Darwinist and eugenicist. The same goes with Raymond Cattell. Maybe there is in the 20th century. Edward Dutton, who makes entertaining, intelligent videos on YouTube about the latest advances in sociobiology. These persons, their books can be found on the question of ethnic differences, genetic interest, etc. A German anthropologist of the 20th century, a Danish anthropologist, Italian anthropologist, and French anthropologist of the 19th century. Ecology, this is a YouTube channel. Psychology, these are modern psychologists who study the question of IQ. So the structure is cosmology, sciences in general, geology, biology, sociobiology. It follows a rational structure, a rational pattern. Ecology, maybe ecology should be, but it's human ecology, let us say. Then we have psychology, language, Mr. Steven Pinker, who makes conferences. So anyone who has the leisure, the time, the interest, if he or she quits his bureaucratic bullshit jobs that he works so that he can buy shit he don't need, if enough time is freed and made available, people can know about all topics, more or less. I just try to provide, that's my philosophical self in the sense of duty from a philosophical standpoint. I provide the formal structure so that people do not randomly watch this or that, but if they have the time, whoever you are outside of myself, just try to study if you have the opportunity. If you are retired, if you are unemployed, but the state the state gives you money, why not? Very intelligent, these unemployed people, they exploit the state. You are right. If the state distributes money, take the money from the state and don't be ashamed if you do something productive with your time and the money that the states give you, namely to produce knowledge, to become intelligent, to try to be grateful to God for the experience of life. It's not always easy, but if you can, then. But then you have to accept that at some moment the state will no longer be there, probably. So, yeah. Do as I say. If you are unemployed, The Pantry Primer by Daisy Luther, and try to appreciate that we live in an era where the whole of human knowledge is made available on the internet. So yeah, here these are German people, those who want to learn German as long as it's possible. Then psychology. These women, these are YouTube channels. They are spiritually inspired. I know this. So it's really high psychology in terms of its spiritual psychology. Here it's in French from Quebec. There are profound insights about the human psyche in terms of the psychological suffering. So those who speak French, Jordan Peterson, of course. Here are videos about criticism of the educational system. I found this today on the channel Weltgeist. Nietzsche about school, why school won't educate you. That's why you should quit school. But what do you replace school with? an internet connection, and a structure. That's what I try to provide. I'm in a good mood, and I'm doing my duty from a philosophical standpoint, namely to share the view of the totality from the perspective of the negative in terms of epistemology. I'm not always in this mood. Mrs. Petrov, America's failing education system, the Mises Institute, they make videos about the problem of the educational system. So the first moment is to identify the problem. And there are countless videos, countless books which are made available in most Western countries to show the problem with the educational system. I try to present in some of my videos the view of the totality to understand that the educational system is not apart from the social totality and the anthropological determination, but it's interconnected. And once the problem has been identified, what to do? That's what I'm trying to offer solution. But first, the problem has to be identified. So whoever you are outside of myself, if you still believe that the educational system, it's a good idea, etc., just take the time to watch some of these videos, read some of the books that I've promoted, read the comments, I don't know. And once you are convinced, okay, there's a serious problem, what do we do? I'm starting to offer solutions. And then if you experience yourself as having free will, do what you think is correct, but watch my videos. And not all of them, or maybe all of them, I don't know. And here are YouTube channels in red. These are French people who talk about the educational system. Here, Big Thing, TED. These are ways of educating the masses, but the problem, there are worse problems to have, is that they simply lack the structure, the formal presentation. What are they talking about? They talk about random topics without showing the totality, how it is interconnected within the whole of being. Here it's in German. Here it's a Viking, an American Viking, making lectures on various topics, geography, etc., etc. Well, here people who talk about LGBTQs, they are Europeans. Just to illustrate the variety of the European psyche, these are young European women who talk about LGBTQ. So yeah. Then masculinity coach, Coach Red Pill, entrepreneurs in car, Andrew Tate. Women. Here are French women. These women and Mrs. Petrov, they are usually young women. They are not, as far as I know, they are not married yet. They do not have children. They are in a phase of being in revolt against feminism in an intelligent way. So these are really modern feminists by being anti-feminist. They are more independent, more intelligent, and they are interesting. They produce interesting content. They do not only talk about womanhood, but these are intelligent women. Yeah. Then women who promote traditional is more metaphysical, speculative, spiritual, etc. Traditional is simply old-fashioned women, but in a modern context, and they are mostly American or Canadian. And yeah, she's French. Stella, you do not make videos any longer. But yeah, they are from England, and it's just to show the process, the zeitgeist, namely a revolt of young women. They are in their 20s or mid-30s against feminism, but this revolt requires strength of character and will. It's not their will, it's their husband actually, but that's good nonetheless. And they revolt against. Yeah, and if I know not many women or almost no women watch my channel, but if you are a woman, if you want to understand the womanhood, traditional femininity, as long as you have the opportunity, here are interesting links. Libertarianism, some of the most important libertarian channels. I try to promote this political ideal as long as I have to do politics. Ron Paul every night, every day talks about the problems of the Fed, the problem of the banking system in America, the problem of the US government. That's common sense. And I will try and keep trying to import the ideas of Ron Paul in the country where I find myself empirically, namely France. But these are universal ideas like all the others. The problems of the economy, the laws of economics, they are universally valid if they are properly understood. So that's one of the ideas I try to share. But as people who watch this, whenever they watch it, they can understand and see most of the content overwhelmingly is Anglo-Saxon in language or in anthropology. I mean, these are mostly Anglo-Saxon people from England, Canada, the US, speaking English, etc. Here are the French branch of reactionary, conservative, libertarian ideas, in a way. That's this would be the equivalent of Republicans, moderate Republicans in the US, but in France it's the far right. Yeah, but they are partly conservative, partly libertarians, partly traditionalist. Yeah, anarcho-communist. David Graeber, there are conferences from Graeber about bullshit jobs, about the problems of debt, the problems of capitalism. So if you are interested, you can watch this. Quit your useless bureaucratic job, like I did, and get a better job, while not forget to behave responsibly, to work hard. That's what I do. If you don't want to do this, do what you want, but that's what I do. I work hard. It implies meditating sometimes, thinking, watching my own videos, struggling morally, but yeah. Minimalism. There are many channels about minimalism. People, eventually in the long run, everything will disappear. So it can disappear in a rough way or in a smooth way. As long as the smooth option can be chosen, I recommend people to simplify their material life. Get rid of the useless material objects. That's what I do. And that's why I do politics for the libertarians, but I don't care really about economic prosperity. My purpose is to lower, not in a negative sense, in a good sense, to lower the living standards, not to make people poor, but to make them minimalist. That's what I intend to do for myself, as long as I live or breathe and speak, I don't know, to simplify my material life. I get rid of useless objects almost every day. The more rough aspect is preppers. So here it's simplify in a smooth way. Here it's simplify and anticipate in case of difficult hardships. Yeah. Then sociology. This is German sociology. Modern German sociology. It's a person of African origin inviting people with social problems, drug addicts, alcoholics, pedophiles, criminals, people with various physical problems or diseases, former National Socialists, etc. People of all sorts, the people who are rejected usually from society or who are looked down for reasons which are usually society do not tolerate these kind of people, but he invites them and make them talk. It's very popular in the German, modern German YouTube sphere. ASMR channels, Hermetic Kitten, very spiritual, very inspired, very useful. I've watched many of her video, and I keep watching them when I feel down, when I have the opportunity. So yeah, the American right. Of course, I do not. It's not the full picture. It's simply to see the live broadcast, the appearance of the American mind, the American spirit, how Republicans think about the Democrats, about the government, etc., etc. It's just to get in touch with the news. On YouTube. Geopolitics, some of the people who are the most knowledgeable, there is Apollonian Germ, of course, but he's higher in the hierarchy, but to understand what happens in the geopolitical sphere, it's not a daily news channel, it's simply the esoteric view from Dr. Deep State, Jean Robin, who makes video in French, very knowledgeable in terms of geopolitics. He understands a lot about the relationship between China and the West, etc., etc. Ryan Chapman, I haven't watched many of his videos, but I have noticed immediately that he's kind of subtle, very smart. He is balanced. I haven't had the opportunity, but if whoever you are interested, you can check his channel, and it's probably very interesting, but I haven't had the opportunity. Cercle Aristote, they do not only talk about geopolitics, but they are intelligent, balanced people within the context of French political life, which I've understood has to be abolished in a way, because the libertarian ideas are beyond nations in a way. So the return to patriotism is a moment in a process of spirit, but eventually countries, as long as there is politics, they will have to be abolished as political entities and to go beyond. That's how I envision things. The 19th of October, I may be wrong, but here are witches, all from Anglo-Saxon world, they are all Europeans, namely women who have spiritual faculties and knowledge and understanding and powers, magic powers, either through the mind or through a use of plants. So if you are interested in witches, they can be dangerous, maybe. Let's not forget to curse them if they become annoying. That's my comical Christian self, or maybe not comical, I don't know. No, but seriously, these women, they are spiritually inspired. They are spiritual and they are intelligent. They are confident. They are typically European, for good or bad, but here for good. And if you you know your girlfriend or your wife, or if you are a woman watching this, if you want inspiration, you can follow these channels. Here are non-European witches inspired by the European tradition. Pagans. He's a person who commented on my channel. I thank you for that. And here are pagans. She would not identify as a pagan. She promotes the religion of the sun, but they are self-proclaimed pagans. Okay, the green witch is here. One is enough. Oh, they. Yeah, she's not a pagan as such, but she's a pantheist, cosmotheist from, I think, from Britain, and she's a pagan. He's a pagan, dispatcher as well, la many païenne. So all these people, they are embodiment of moments, aspects of the mind of God, and the totality. Each of these person here, they are not very famous, but who is the? No, we'll go for. But yeah, someone like Ratatosk. Yeah, he hasn't many followers, but he embodies a trend in the development of spirit, and his followers, they are influenced by him, and he influences them reciprocally, and he expresses a point of view like all the others. But I just take this again, a point of view of consciousness on the substance, within the substance. That's the language of German philosophy and a little bit of Spinoza, but it expresses a truth in the moment of the process of God, of Odin, if you will, becoming conscious of himself. Traditionalist, well, key foods, that's very high intellectual standards. I have to respect the intelligence, the subtlety, the balance. It's really great. Here we have cosmic consciousness. He's a kind of a Buddhist, very enlightened Afro-American, but he's what we call a cosmotheist. He's a spiritual teacher, but his consciousness is very high, and he's beyond identification with limitation. He's a receptacle of the cosmic mind. Really, he's one of the highest level of consciousness I have found. But while being partly rational, but also already living in Kukulon, in a sense that I do not really understand how he got there. He had a near-death experience, but yeah. Affected Collective, I really recommend this channel. She has a beautiful voice, she's funny, her videos are amazing, it's really good quality. Erwin Laszlo, he's some sort of a cosmotheist as well. He has a view of the cosmos being a totality, becoming conscious of itself. And here are the European gods and goddesses. I know these are the most intelligent, most brilliant individuals that I have found, and they have all the aspects of the process. They are knowledgeable about nature, subjective ergeist, namely anthropology, phenomenology, psychology, objective spirit, economics, politics, sociology, history, etc. They are not experts in each topic, but they are intelligent, knowledgeable, fluent, competent, mostly the males, because the women, they cannot be competent in every field, but they can talk intelligently, and they most of them, if not all, are spiritually inspired by the spirit of Odin, which is actually the one world spirit, and these are the most brilliant individuals on this planet, outside of myself. I know this with certainty, but can I communicate with them? How, when, in what conditions? This is one of my problems. And Marie Cachet and Oleg, they make videos in French. but they can speak English, or they are English subtitles, and all the others, they come from mostly either they speak English or they come from America. Yeah, this is what I call partly Europe, maybe Germany, but I know that these are the best. Intellectually, these are the best. I have no doubt about this. But the problem is that intelligence can be a burden for the self and for the other. And here, philosophy, the level of consciousness is not higher, but formally philosophy is higher than, strictly speaking, religion as such. But these people, they have a lower level of consciousness than most of the other, but they are nonetheless smart. Footnotes to Plato, Matthew Siegel, he would belong in cosmic consciousness. He's one of the most enlightened as well in the universe. He's a receptacle of the cosmic mind. Eli Anderson, here it's formal philosophy, it's intelligent, but it's not on a cosmic level. He's a Zizekian, that's interesting. Weltgeist, that's a German channel. And Antonio Wolf, he's a Hegelian, he's smart as well. And here are my other channels. Eternal Light, Cultural Hegelianism, the videos that I published in 2019, which has been preserved on Alt Censored, and my channel in French, Phénoménologie de l'Esprit. And here is my address, where I live empirically. I share my personal data, not in all of my video consistently, but my address in all of my video with the substance, because my message consists in saying that there is only one of us. There is only one mind, one cosmos, one God. And here I have showed briefly, in 36 minutes, it's not a very rigorous, not in the sense that I haven't worked at all to produce this video, but just to show the full process. And now I will skip rather fast. Mathematics. If people want to watch the references, they go further in the video, but I just show the process. Mathematics, physics, cosmology, astronomy, what I call the cosmos. Various channels about sciences. Geology, biology, sociobiology, ecology, psychology, IQ, language, psychology in the sense of emotions and behavior, I would say. Emotions, this is for the feminine part, behavior, it's for the Peterson part. The problems of education, the solutions to the educational problem, LGBTQs, masculinity, femininity, traditional womanhood, politics. There is not the whole topic of politics, but what I consider to be good politics, moderate politics, not good, but moderate politics, libertarianism, mostly advocated by Europeans, anthropologically, I mean, anarcho-communist. And both, the purpose of both anarcho-communism and libertarianism is to reduce the working hours, more leisure, not to do stupid things, but to, my view, to become spiritually elevated. That's a transitory step. I do not really care about politics, just for the sake of being able to study, inquire, and elevate oneself spiritually, if that's possible. If not, I don't know, but I will, as long as I do politics, I will promote this ideal. Minimalism, preppers, sociology, ASMR, the American right, I could have put CNN for the leftist, geopolitics, witches, non-European witches, pagans. And the pagans, usually they are very smart. What I call right-wing pagans, they are smart because they understand broadly, at least vaguely, all the aspects of the process of God. The left-wing pagans, they just care about paganism. I don't blame them, but the right-wing pagans, they have a full view of all the moments. That's why they are more spiritual in a way. Traditionalism, cosmic consciousness, and the European gods and goddesses. And yeah, in order to understand a channel, when one follows a channel, one has to recontextualize within the totality. And philosophy is the thought of the totality. That's why I do philosophy, at least formally for now, to try to conceptualize the totality of being, which is God thinking itself. When I think, even when I don't, probably, but when I think properly, God becomes conscious of himself through me. I become the consciousness of God. I mean, in a sense, I always am the consciousness of God, but when I think properly, when I say, yeah, that's what I had to share in broadly 40 minutes. It's a short video. It's really a bureaucratic work, but to work as a bureaucrat for 40 minutes, if it can help enlighten, here my conscious intention was to share the links to help others understand. I do my part of the work here. Really, the mood of the video was I do my duty on a bureaucratic level. I share the perspective of the totality, and I work on myself as an individual to solve my problems on an individual level, and it consists in trying to import libertarian ideas, but ideas coming from America in France to make the French people smarter, so that they will realize that French politics has to be aufgehoben, in a good sense maybe, and that the intelligence, here I just make a brief remark, the intelligence made available by the intellectual and spiritual life of the US and the Anglo-Saxon world is breathtaking, tremendous, amazing, and it is universal because it is knowledge. And as of now, I can only share in French and in English, but anyone, whatever his background, origin, etc., social class, ethnicity, religion, can access these pieces of information. That's how the totality becomes conscious of itself. So yeah, I did my job as the link for 42 minutes, and now we'll keep working on psychological, personal, political, epistemological problems. Yeah.